I was not always okay with sharing my mate. I was seeking a greater spiritual awakening and understanding in this human existence. And then I discovered polygamy, and my life changed forever. My name is Asha Sekhmet, and I am a Tantra practitioner, an oracle, spiritual educator, and I do specific work in my purpose with building a sovereign community of like-minded souls to become closer to the Creator without strict religious doctrine, following indigenous practices, polygamy, tribalism, and sovereignty. Today, I'm going to be talking about how you can begin to change and shift your consciousness into sharing your mate for community building, for orgasmic capabilities, and to really tap into the supernatural part of your DNA. Now, let's start with the fundamental principles of the way that the Most High designed human beings to be. So let's talk about human beings. Human beings are living, breathing souls. This means that we are allowed to live a life, and we should live a life authentic to who we are. In that process, you can develop relationships, you can grow towards community building with following your purpose, and during that process, you'll meet some beautiful souls. Now, in an intimate relationship with a lover, we have to understand that you do not own that human being. You cannot possess them. That's why if you are a human being with that level of conditioning, which we all have it, right, as a default of being born into the United States of America, we get the conditioning of preset conditioned notions of what marriage should look like. This is programming from Disney, and especially in the minds of women here, right? So we have to understand what community building actually is, right? So if we go back to humans being living, breathing souls, and you try to possess your partner, you live a very difficult and challenging life, because that is not what the creator of all designed human beings to interact with other human beings in relationship ways, right? Humans are tribal. So if we look at tribalism and we connect that to the fact that majority of humans have the natural attraction of the opposite sex, and through that you can develop communities, because those relationships can bring value to the community, and they could be multiple lovers, like group marriages. So this is how humans are supposed to live. Sovereign. We're meant to be free, right? Our minds are meant to think of higher thoughts like creation and becoming one with the Most High. So going back to the fact that you cannot possess your partner, you can't. The creator of all, God, or whatever you want to refer to it as, it doesn't even possess us. So how could you possess your partner? Possession is saying ownership. You are mine and you are off limits. You cannot do that. It is ordained as a universal principle, law of this existence. You cannot do it. That's why when you attempt to do it, you live a very suffering and unnecessary, painful life. You get these conditioning thoughts that maybe you're not worthy of love and you can't find the right person. And especially if we're talking about my community, Black American women, and we look at the ratio of viable Black husbands to for the women, the ratio would scream the only way that all of us could make sure that we get love and family that we deserve is by sharing. You would have to share. And it's also in Black American men's DNA to be polygamous. So this means that it takes a part of acceptance on yourself. And so as Black American women, it is in our DNA to be polygamous because we are indigenous women of planet Earth. So that means that we have to accept our nature. This is going back to our roots. We have to accept our culture, right? We have adopted another people's culture, a way of thought, right? So European way of thought and thinking. How did this happen, right? Prior to European colonialism, 80% of the world practiced polygamy. This concept of the nuclear family and that monogamy concept that actually comes from Europe. The book that I read to help me actually get this information is called We Want for Our Sisters What We Want for Ourselves by Dr. Patricia Dixon Spear. And she did a phenomenal job in the work that she did because it was a case study and it is completely objective. It's African American women who practice polygyny by consent. Now, I do not practice polygyny. I practice polyamory. However, the case study is a good case study to read if you are a Black American woman so that you can understand the consciousness behind getting everything you want. You can have it all, but you have to community build. You can't have it all as an individual. You can't have it all as a self-made independent woman because there's nothing in nature that mimics that model. It doesn't exist. You do not get creation out of it. Hence why everything that comes into the creation requires masculine and feminine principles. That's a universal law. So that means that nothing in your life you can create and transfusion without Black men, right? So we're understanding, right, the consciousness that you need to have in order to really embody this. Now, of course, there's challenges, right? Because we're getting down to the challenges is the beliefs, right? The false beliefs. We were taught things about this marriage, family, right? There was conditioning done that you have to move through. And then that is what can allow you to get everything you want and deserve, right? You do not have to live into a certain age and be single and like mask it with this illusion of happiness like you're doing for self and that you're okay. Like, no, you're not okay. You're not okay because you were designed to have love, right? You're deserving of love as a Black woman, right? So these are conditioning that needs to be reprogrammed. And why do I speak from this perspective, right? Because somebody could say, well, I can have all that and be in monogamy. We are in crisis here in America. That means that if each Black woman was married to a viable Black husband, there would still be millions of Black women single. That means that there needs to be majority practicing polygamy, if not all. There has to be. And that's already been happening. We already share our men. It's just done dysfunctionally. It's done in a way that creates pain and broken homes. Black people already practice polygamy. We already do that. It's just dysfunctional. Okay. So it's going back to just accepting the truth, right? One thing that's been done in this day and time is a distortion of reality for women in general, but definitely Black American women, right? Black women. There's a distortion of reality, right? Like we have to get back to reality. Like what is actually happening? What is the real statistics? What are the raw data? And then when you match that to spiritual principles, you can understand that we live in abundance, right? We can tap into that, right? There's enough of of us to share. There's enough love in the valuable Black husbands, right? Black men, which has the most potent DNA in masculinity on the planet, there's enough love that can exist in him for multiple Black women to be loved and have the family that they deserve. You just have to share. Now, we have to understand, I say share loosely, because you do not share a human being like you share a car, right? Like you don't own it, but sharing of time, right? Sharing of attention, and basically being in your feminine enough to see the big vision, being in your feminine enough to understand that a community initiative is bigger than your own individual feelings. So if we can check ourselves and we can grow and mature through the emotions of it, then we can come to a place to understand that I can have love and so can my sister have love. My children are good, everyone's happy, and I don't have to live a life of pain and suffering because I continue to fight truth, and I continue to fight accepting reality, truth, and my own culture. Okay. And lastly, I did want to mention about the content that gets put out, this narrative of these fake these fake femininity coaches, fake femininity or fake womanhood movement, that these women who do this content, I just want to say that the narrative that you should play these games with men to make sure that they stay up to par, right, with you, is masculine, and it is terrible advice because we don't have time. Being in your feminine, like I do with my husband and the men that, if I'm interested in a man, he's going to know. Okay. I only date Black men, right? He's going to know I am completely vulnerable and out in the open. And yes, there's no games. No, I want you to know I caught you. I want this. You gonna be mine too. You're gonna be my man, and I don't care whoever other man you is with another Black woman, but you can be mine too. So yes, showing that interest, show it show it. Don't like whatever games that people say, like waiting hours or texting back. And if he do this, change, and just no, be feminine. That's what femininity is. Okay. So, that was the last part that I wanted to mention of the video. All right. So that was the last of everything that I wanted to say. It's really about, if you're seeking to reconnect with your culture, to really live this new Black family revolution and really be about the community, this means that this what you would be. You would be pro polygamy, because that is the solution for us. If you are interested in any of the services that I provide, you can book sessions with me on www.AshaSekhmet.com.